Hey, thanks so much for watching, listening. Oh my goodness, we have a really cool series called Back to School. Oh yeah, hello, back to school. If you're thinking about it, we've got all kinds of back to school stuff. And the question I want you to think about as we talk in this episode is, how do you best learn? How do you best learn? Are you a visual learner? Are you an auditory learner? Are you a kinesthetic learner? Are you kind of a mix of everything? Do you need music when you learn? Do you need, a complete quiet room? Do you need all kinds of organization? Do you need all kinds of clutter? All of us learn in different ways. And that's some of the beauty of God's creativity, is that you are unique, fearfully and wonderfully made. So how do you best learn? And I was reading in Matthew 11:29. Jesus is talking, and I love what he says. He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." I love what Jesus says, because so much of what we learn and how we learn sometimes tends to be frenzied. But I like what Jesus says. Learn from me. Take my yoke. And I always laugh when I hear the word yoke, because I always think of an egg yolk, right? Like you crack an egg and it's the yellow part, that's an egg yolk. But what Jesus is talking about isn't the egg yolk or the egg white, but rather it's the yoke that goes on an ox or a cow or beast of burden. And that yoke, there was the idea that the yoke would be combined with another ox or beast of burden, like a two-part yoke, like a collar, if you will. And that collar, that yoke, gave the oxen plowing power and unity. And I like that idea because I think it really helps us think in terms of being yoked, having the collar, having the connection with Jesus. And one of the things that's also interesting about the yoke is that the yoke is the training and the direction and the continuity, the unity of doing work together to get something accomplished. And so I think it's also a way of working. And I think when we are connected, yoked, collared, if you will, with Jesus, then there's nice pacing in our lives. Because if we're connected with Jesus, then he can pace our lives and he can help us to plod along in the right path, doing the right things and pushing to create the right outcomes, the right productivity, the right achievements. And I think this is really important because, again, how do you learn? How do you best learn? And nobody can be the better teacher for you and for me than Jesus, because Jesus knows how well you learn. He knows the different ways that you learn. And I love, and Jesus talked about that in reference to the Holy Spirit in John 14, 15, 16. Jesus says the Holy Spirit will teach you. Well, nobody knows how to teach you better than the Holy Spirit, because nobody knows you better than the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit knows how you best learn.
You don't know me.
I know what you can do.
I remember one time I was taking a snowboard lesson. It was my second one, and the teacher, there was only two of us, and all he kept saying to me was, "Get jiggy. Sarah, get jiggy." And I'm like, I don't know what jiggy means. And I asked him, I'm like, "What's jiggy?" He's like, "Oh, jiggy." I'm like, "I don't know what's jiggy." He's like, "Jiggy." And he kept saying it, the same word, but he would say it louder and faster. I'm like, still don't know. He was a poor teacher. He's the opposite of who Jesus is for you. And Jesus knows how we best learn. Some of us learn best from mistakes. Some of us learn best from books. Some of us learn best from watching. But how do we best learn, I would propose to you, is by being connected, yoked, and in cadence, in connection, bonding, collared with Jesus. And then he says this, and I think this is so powerful because it's very attractive to me. And he says, "I am gentle and humble, and you will find rest for your souls." I just think that's so, so powerful, because a lot of the world that we live in is not restful. We're frenzied. We're bouncing here. We're bouncing there. We got this and struggles and pushes and demands and responsibilities. Spin. But Jesus says, if you're yoked to me, if you're connected with me and you let me be your teacher, you're going to find rest for your soul. I am gentle and humble in heart. I'm not going to drive you. I'm not going to keep you on a gerbil wheel. Spin, spin, spin. I have rest for you, rest for your souls as you stay connected and yoked with me. So how do we best learn? I would propose to you that the way we best learn is by staying in connection with Jesus. So here's a quick little joke. Why was a teacher wearing sunglasses in the classroom? Because her class was so bright. All right. Thanks for watching. Hit the notification bell right there. Hey, make sure you subscribe. Send this to your friends. Some of you are in classes with teachers. Some of you are teachers. Send this to your colleagues. Really, really great series on back to school and how do we best learn what God has for us. Thanks again, and make sure you catch up with us next week for the next episode.